All right. So today we will try to understand the process of a physical inventory. Basically, in a business, why do we require a physical inventory, and what is the purpose of having this physical inventory required in the EWM system? Okay. Now, more or less, when we are talking about this particular physical inventory, it is ideally, it is nothing but we will try to have the counting indeed, like whatever we have it in place of your embedded land MLMs, because whether you go for an embedded or whether you go for a decentralized one doesn't matter. It is more or less, it is nothing but it is indeed to count the actual shop floor quantity, because whatever the quantity we see it on a physical warehouse versus the system quantity, whatever we have it in the system. Okay, so that is the process normally this physical inventory would be required for us. So what does that mean? So it means that this is basically a kind of a process which will help you to count, okay, the shop floor quantity, okay, versus your system quantity, your book quantity. Okay, why do we need to have this kind of accounting is required? Why? Because normally what happens in most of the warehouses, okay, if you're working in some kind of a retail industries, or maybe if you're working in some kind of telecommunication industries, basically we ideally need to have not only in telecom any of the industries, but most of the cases, because depending upon the value of the products, ideally the business would like to have accounting happening for the products indeed, for the system whatever we have it, and as well as physically how much of the stock we have it. So so that is the reason behind we will try to have this counting need to happen. However, this process, whatever we see here, this can be happening maybe on a monthly basis, okay, or maybe on based on your year, or maybe you can also do it on a daily basis, okay. So it depending upon the value of the product, basically we will try to have it, okay. So it doesn't matter whether you are trying to have it on what kind of a basis you try to perform this physical inventory, doesn't matter, but the procedure will remain the same indeed. There is no change in that indeed, actually, okay. So, but this particular physical inventory, whatever we try to have it, it is basically to try to check the stock between your book versus your system. So indeed, what is going to happen then? We are going to check the whole quantity of your warehouse. So which means that it considers all the stock, whether if it is an unrestricted, doesn't matter, or maybe a production stock, whatever. Well, production stock in the sense in the production storage location stocks, what I mean to say, not at a PSA stocks. Okay, you can also have your block stock also, okay, or you can also have your quality stock. So all these kind of stocks that we would be considering when we are performing a physical inventory. And more or less, this physical inventory will always perform in two ways, okay. There are multiple ways again, but ideally at a global level, normally this can be performed at two ways. First one would be your product specific, okay. I'm sorry. One would be your product specific process, and the other one would be your storage bin specific process. Sorry. Shit. So these are the two methods normally we will try to perform it. So what is the significance of performing these two methods basically is, so when we are trying to have this as a product specific, basically it is nothing but you will consider irrespective of whatever the bin this product has been placed, doesn't matter to us. So in irrespective of all the bins, wherever this product is lying, this will be counted at, okay. So we need to make sure that for all the bins, okay, it would be applicable. Okay, it will be applicable for all the bins. I mean, like where the product, okay, where the product is being placed. Now, if it is a storage bin specific, this is another thing. Means it will be counting only that particular bin, okay, and the products whatever we have it in bin, okay. So which means that what is that means it could be a single product, okay, or a multiple products, okay, that we will be counting in that particular bin. That is what the significance of these two things, okay. One would be your product specific process, the other one would be your storage bin specific process, okay. However, now when we are talking about this particular physical inventory methods, okay, we need to have a certain configuration in place. That is something which we will be defining it. But however, what do we require? Indeed, we will be required something called as a physical inventory area. Sorry, that's one thing. And then we also require something called as an activity area, where that needs to be linked for both the things. And also we require something called as a physical inventory area parameters, okay. We'll call it as area control parameters, okay. On top of it, we also need to have another things like the tolerance limits, okay. So we have a tolerance limits which we need to maintain it. So these are all the a few things that we would be required in order to have this physical inventory counting in place. Now, when we are talking of this particular physical inventory procedure, basically, so it is very clear that we have to have the physical inventory process. It's mainly to perform this, whether to have it at a shop floor quantity versus your book quantity. That is the main purpose of this particular concept. Now, let's try to get into the system and then let me just make it happen.